Hi! Bienvenue à MotoMouths! Bonjour Hi! Bonjour Hi!
I know you said you had props, but I was not expecting this.
Je m'appelle Zoe! Some people in the world are Francophiles. I'm a Quebecophile.
Is now a good time to tell you that my grandfather's Canadian?
Can I marry you and get citizenship?
I don't have citizenship, and he's dead, so.
Damn it.
I would love citizenship. Canada, if you're listening, give me a call. I like hockey, too.
We love hockey. We love the Grand Prix du Canada.
Yeah.
Call us, Canada.
Give me a call.
Who are you?
I'm Zoe. We've met before, right?
Just saying. We have a lot of new followers and listeners, which is really exciting.
We do. Hi, guys. My name is Zoe. I love long walks on the lake. I hate hot weather. And I'm partial to a nice, crisp glass of rosé in the evening.
We'll get into the Canada of it all in a minute. Stuff's happened in the world of MotoGP this past week.
Yeah, I would say so. The big event, of course, is the Aragon GP that has just happened. Do you remember our predictions for this? Because I don't.
I did, and I wrote them down for you. You said Marc P1, Alex P2, Frankie P3, Pecco Fail King.
And you know what? As in all things, I think in some ways I am right, and in some ways I am like the reverse of prophetic.
You reverse cursed Pecco again.
It's crazy.
You're really good at reverse cursing people. And then I said Mark P1, Fabio P2, Zarco P3, Fail King, Frankie Morbidelli.
Not a lot there.
I'm not good at this. I mean, I got Mark correct, but that's not that hard to do.
Fruit.
It is a low-hanging fruit.
Well, I'm proud of myself, and I'm proud of you for participating.
Yay, participation trophy. Yeah, it was a really exciting race.
I don't know if I would say that.
It was a race that occurred last week.
Yes. Funny thing is, I actually watched this race with a friend of mine who had never really watched MotoGP with me. She's watched F1 before, but she'd never really seen MotoGP racing before. And it was so funny to watch this with her because I had to be like, this is the least exciting race I think I've watched all season. And she was riveted. And I was like, okay, just bear with me. Here's the thing. As like a Marc Marquez fan, I've said it before, I'm saying it again, I'll say it probably a million more times. You have to like accept that Marc will just throw wins away sometimes because he gets bored.
Yeah, he needs the enrichment in his enclosure.
Winning by 4 seconds is apparently not enough, and he needs something to do. And while I can't empathize, I do sympathize, but I also can't really do that because it's like, Marc, please, you're giving me gray hairs every single weekend. So that's what I was really scared about this whole weekend. Aragon is a counterclockwise track. It's a ton of left-handers. It is essentially a track that has been built for Marc Marquez since its inception. I think he years ago looked at it when it was first being built and was like, yep, I like this track because it's built exactly for him. He has an insane record here. He will continue after this weekend to have an insane record. And it's quite funny because he left the press conference on Sunday. And one of the main comments he had to say on Sunday was it was mandatory for him to leave this weekend with the maximum amount of points possible. Because he said, he was like, if I come to a track in which I know that I am so dominant and so capable at, and I don't leave with as many points as I can, that's a huge failure.
Hang on. Yes.
Right.
That's the objective of every weekend.
Yeah. Yes.
I don't understand. He's saying the objective of being a world-class championship athlete, of being any athlete.
This is true, but I think there is, on the one hand, yes, I agree. And he should be entering almost every weekend with this mentality. He fails to do this. Marc is very much the experience of learns a lesson, forgets a lesson, struggles. Learns the lesson, forgets the lesson, struggles. This is his cycle. He does it all the time.
He's fucked around and now he's finding out.
Yeah, he just keeps doing it. Like we talk about in F1, we talk about in IndyCar and WEC and all of these series where every series has a different level of the driver being able to make the distance and bring the car or bring the bike to a certain ceiling. I
Mhm.
think F1 has a lower amount of distance so the driver can make an impact with. I think MotoGP has a higher end. And because Marc can make so much distance, he can drag the bike so much further past what anyone else can. We get complacent in what we expect from him. And so it's like, yeah, if he needs to like get
Do
in front of
slam
the press,
poetry.
do some outward manifestation with a microphone in his hand to make it happen, sure, do that, King. But I'm scared and seated for when you learn this same lesson 2 months from now.
Right.
Because it's inevitable. One other thing that was really crazy about just this weekend with Marc and his behavior is he led every single session. He secured pole in qualifying. He won the sprint. He won the GP. And he rewrote the lap record. The last person to do all of those things at the same weekend was Marc Marquez in 2015 at the Sachsenring, 10 years ago.
Yeah, that's crazy shit. We talk a lot about how records are made to be broken. I love seeing records being broken, and I love seeing records being broken by the person who made the record in the first place. I think it's so
hot.
sexy. It's so sexy.
We're on the same page. It was so crazy too. And here's the other like nutso thing after nutso thing. I think the GP was like, 23 laps? At lap 20, Marc has already put in 2 to 3 record-breaking fastest laps.
That's bullshit.
And you know why he did that? And why he proceeded to do that multiple more times before the end of the GP?
Why did he do that?
To keep himself from getting bored and crashing out.
He's so fucking
That's what he
annoying.
did. That's what he did.
There are some people like this in the world. It's your Max Verstappens, your Marc Marquezes, your Sidney Crosbys.
It's like a game within a game to them. There's a level of skill and talent to that blows my fucking mind.
I'm of two minds. Like, A, let's handicap them and see if they can't keep winning. Like, let's put ankle weights on Simone Biles.
Sorry, but do you think that everything that's happened to Marc hasn't handicapped him?
The minute I said it, I realized what I was saying, but let me finish.
I'm gonna let you finish.
A, we handicap them, put the weights on Simone Biles' ankles. B, let's put them in a completely unfamiliar sport to all of them and just see what happens. I want to see Max Verstappen and Sidney Crosby play each other in chess.
Maybe we just start with checkers.
And it'd be really fun to see.
So that kind of brings to a close the Marc Marquez portion of the recap. Sorry to everyone who doesn't give a fuck about him. This is the wrong podcast for you.
Or Sidney Crosby. I know you may have been shocked to hear his name dropped in a motorsports podcast.
We're Sidney Crosby girlies.
It's not the first time and it won't be the last.
Absolutely not. Some other notable pieces of information. Alex Marquez, Mr. P2, back in business. That's my consistent king.
The one thing that I did feel was not great this weekend was seeing the Marc Marquez grandstands and then the 4 people in a corner, the marching band to the student section of the 4 Alex Marquez fans in blue.
Yeah.
Can't we do like a divide and conquer situation or like a frontsies backsies? Like I have blue on the back and red on the front and I can kind of turn around every once in a while. I'm full of ideas today.
You really are. Your mind is racing. It's really interesting because I've said this before, but you can't be like a fan of Marc and not also be a fan of Alex and vice versa.
Right. But like, let's put some blue in the stands.
To some degree, they're both like aware of that, but visually, it's not great.
It's not great visually.
It was really cute. Their little dance.
More energy, more passion, more footwork,
It was
more footwork.
so funny. I was watching it with my friend and like the race ended and I go, wait, just watch. Marc and Alex are gonna hop off and do a little dance in front of their grandstand. And she goes, what? And I was like, yeah, they're gonna hop off and do a little dance. And guess what they did?
A little dance, a little choreographed dance.
Some other notable things. Frankie Morbidelli and Fermin Aldeguer both had really solid weekends. I think I was very tentative on both of them. I really like Frankie and I was open to liking Fermin, but I was unsure of like how seriously their seasons were going to go, like good or bad. And I'm really pleased for Frankie. He's doing exactly what he needs to do.
He's having a good season.
He is. And Fermin Aldeguer is having an incredible rookie season, but I think that is also the benefit of being on the 2024 Ducati because duh.
Duh.
Marco Bezzecchi could have had a great weekend.
He had a great weekend immediately after the weekend.
What?
He set the fastest lap in the lap record at Aragon testing.
Right, exactly. Like,
he had a good weekend after the weekend. I said what I said.
And you're so right. And it pisses me off so bad. And this is what's frustrated me the whole season about Marco on that Aprilia is that, like, since day one, he has had really great race pace.
Yes.
Since day one.
Yes.
He just cannot fucking qualify. And it was partly not his fault, except it was also partly his fault this week because he crashed on his warm-up lap in Q1 and then went out again and the bike was kind of fucked. So it was like half his fault, half not. And then he had a really solid recovery. I think, was it Saturday? But he could have had a really great weekend. And it just makes me sad, which I think is like the thesis of my Marco Bezzecchi in 2025.
Yeah.
Okay, this is the other big conversation that's happening after this weekend. Pecco Bagnaia seems to have found his groove again.
He did do a photo shoot. And I know this is completely irrelevant to what you're talking about, but he did do a photo shoot. And it was the first time I looked at him and said, oh, I kind of see. I kind of see it.
That was the first time?
Oh, yeah.
He looked horrible in that shoot. It was so washed out. And why did they put him in like the most cool toned neutrals ever? It was so... I love that you're coming to this with an open heart and an open mind. I should not be rejecting
You're yucking my yum.
I should not be reacting to your change of opinion with such negative energy.
Anyways, continue.
So the big deal with Pecco this season, it has been much discussed that everyone kind of knew that Marc was going to run off into the distance compared to Pecco, but nobody expected it to happen to this extent. Pecco's been having a really rough season. He has maintained that his issue has always been front-end feeling, which has really affected him in like corner entry and braking because he feels like he can't get any feedback for what's going on the front wheel. He also famously hates the sprint tank because the fuel tank. Both of these issues speak to like a weight distribution problem. Interesting. So Pecco has been basically begging Ducati for months to give him a better bike to help him figure out what this issue is. A BBL also, yes. I think it would help with the weight distribution. And he had a really awful sprint. He ended the sprint on Saturday after qualifying, I think P4. He ended the sprint on 12th. So rough situation.
Yikes.
Reports suggest that they essentially kind of sat there, threw up their hands, and were like, fuck it. Like, we've tried everything. Let's try a new brake disc. So you might be like, what the fuck is that? Is what I also said. It's a disc, as the name suggests, that is within the wheel that kind of connects
braking to the brakes.
Yes.
Okay. So it's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
It's a brake disc.
But you can see it. And that's the cool thing is you can see it when the wheel is stationary.
Okay.
Because it's on the inside like spokes internal of the wheel.
Okay.
So what they did is they went up a size in the brake disc. And what this did, apparently, is it pushed more weight onto the front of the bike and gave Pecco more feedback and let him actually feel what was going on with the front wheel. What has also kind of been reported on is that one of the reasons this weight distribution could be such an issue this year when it wasn't last year is that this year Ducati introduced a totally new ride height device activator. So what people are assuming right now is that the bigger brake disc isn't doing anything really that a bigger brake disc would do. It's just that it's offsetting the loss of weight in the front that they got from that new ride height device. Here's the thing. Pecco's being vague about it. Davide Tardozzi is being a little vague about it. No one is really saying, this is what we did. This is how it's going to affect the rest of the season. But yeah, I think it's a huge step forward, I think, in Pecco's confidence. I think it's really interesting to see him fighting with Alex on Sunday because Alex ultimately got the better of him and kind of shut the door on a Pecco P2. But we go to Mugello and then we go to Assen. And those tracks are both tracks Pecco enjoys.
Oh, those are Pecco tracks. Oh.
And they're tracks he enjoys. They're tracks he has a great record at. So we'll see. I think Mugello is like where it all comes together.
So just to get this straight, you're telling me that they took the brake disc and they went up to 445cc moderate profile, half under the muscle silicone Garth Fisher.
I'd have to confirm, but that sounds right.
Like Kylie Jenner?
Yeah.
Okay. Just making sure.
Yeah. My job here is to provide an accurate report of what I know to be true.
Exactly. So Bez has got his haircut. Pecco's got his BBL and boob job.
Brake disc.
The season's looking up.
Things are looking up.
And then another big behind the scenes, in front of the scenes thing happened this week.
Oh, yeah. This is crazy. And you texted me about it. And with the way MotoGP press and reporting is, I was like, I thought this was a done deal like last week. Because everybody leaks everything all the time at MotoGP. The news is, I'm going to make sure I say his name right, Toprak Razgatlioglu. Nailed it.
It's not funny.
It is a Turkish last name that is very complicated for like a white Western American girl to say.
It's a beautiful last name. I'm sure Turkish is a beautiful language.
That I don't know.
But it's interesting to the ear.
And I've practiced saying his name so many times, but people who haven't will just be like Toprak.
Yeah, he's eponymous, like Madonna.
He's like Prince.
Madonna, Prince, Cher, Toprak. Beyonce, Toprak, Gaga, Toprak.
Gaga. Toprak. Wow, I can't say it again. I really can't. You're going to have to copy and paste it in there.
Razgalazio?
Stop.
Did I get it?
Don't. No. Hold on, I have to look at it. Toprak Razgatlioglu. Razgatlioglu.
It's the glue that gets me.
Yeah.
Why is it not just goo? Like, that to me makes more sense, but it's glue.
I think it's the Gatlia that gets me, then transitions into the glue.
Toprak Razgatlioglu?
No, that's not right.
Toprak Razgatlioglu.
Yes. There you go. Once you say it the first time, you're like, wait.
I want to hear the fuck-ass British commentators who say Jorge.
It's all Toprak. It's just all Toprak.
It's Toprak all the way down.
Yep. Toprak Razgatlioglu is confirmed riding for Prima Pramac Yamaha in 2026.
Woo! I just had a panic in my head going, wait, that's in 2 years. And no, it's not. It's next year. Oh my God.
It is next year. And interesting that you say that. Toprak does have a 2-year contract with Yamaha. It's just that his Prima Pramac contract is only for the 1 year.
So he could go to Yamaha.
He could. In World Superbike, he is a 2-time World Superbike champion. He's the first Turkish MotoGP rider ever, which is very cool. He's one of the first riders in a very long time that has debuted in this series within the Premier class. He'll be 29 in 2026. So it was kind of like, shit or get off the pot, my guy. Pick a bike.
Yeah.
One of the big issues, because this comes up like semi-annually, that Toprak's manager is like, we have a contract with a MotoGP team. He does it all the time. The biggest problem I think that has happened for a while is twofold. One, for a very long time, MotoGP has been on Michelin tires. World Superbike, I believe, is on Pirelli. So there would have to be a pretty distinct learning curve jumping tire manufacturers, because Michelins are like kind of bonkers bad in a lot of ways. And two, satellite teams don't win championships. And there's no way Toprak is getting a factory ride at this point in time in the MotoGP without putting some work in at a satellite team. What has happened in the last 6 to 8 months is, one, MotoGP is moving to Pirellis. So that's one problem dealt with. And two, Jorge Martin won the world championship on a satellite bike, which the year before, that satellite team won the team championship. So all of this is now moot, and he pretty much has the go-ahead to say, I'm going to be 29, I have to do it now, or else I'm never going to be able to do it. So that's why he's signing with Yamaha. And he has history with Yamaha. He won a world championship with them on a World Superbike. And so I think there is a huge opportunity there too.
Everyone seems super excited about it.
Everyone is super excited about it. He's also a huge character. So I'm kind of excited for another guy to be like, oh, wow, you know?
Yeah, I think you kind of have to be a huge character with the name Toprak Razgatlioglu.
Exactly.
Shall we head to the great wide world of motorsport?
We should. I feel like we were kind of halfway there with Toprak.
True. We are going to my favorite race of the entire F1 calendar, not just because I love the city of Montreal. I love going to Montreal, not just because it was my first ever F1 race, but because legitimately this race is bananas, Bananas, every single year.
It's like Melbourne in that way.
The three bad bitches of the F1 calendar: Albert Park, Interlagos, Gilles Villeneuve.
And you're so right, and you should say that. They are like the three baddest bitches in this graduating class.
Year after year, it is banger after banger after banger after banger from these three tracks.
Historically, too, even looking back.
No, like historically bangers.
Like that's the real meat of it.
Bangers all the way down. You're telling me that this circuit has a wall named after the champions that have crashed into it?
Perfect.
Iconic. It is, to me, the perfect track, the perfect race. It's always batshit crazy. The weather is always fucking nuts. It's amazing. I love it. I love it. I love it. I had a blast last year. I think it's going to be such a great race this year.
I've heard that Montreal is like the most fun race to go to be among everybody there. Like it's such a great vibe, I've heard.
It's such good vibes because it's not just Canadians and they're so nice and so polite, but it's also like fuck-ass French people, which is also really fun. It gets a huge international turnout. I met like 3 Australians on the way to the Grand Prix last year, and that was on the way there. And you get people from all over North America because it is the least expensive race in North America at this point.
Crazy.
And it's the most accessible by public transit. So you literally get people from Mexico, America, like everywhere.
I think it is like the only race in the Americas, other than maybe Mexico City, that has that kind of like original F1 spirit, truly for the love of the game.
I really wouldn't even call Mexico that because it's still kind of a newer addition to the calendar.
That's a good point. So yeah, I think it is Montreal.
It's a classic F1 track. It is a classic F1 track. It's so much fun.
I almost went this year.
I almost went this year too, and I couldn't make it work. I'm really sad about it. Yeah, I'm really excited for this year. Last year, I can't even get into what happened last year because it would take us 4 podcasts. That race was so fucking bananas wild. I just remember, these are my core memories from the Montreal Grand Prix weekend. 1, hail. 2, the minute I sat down in the grandstands for FP1, Daniel Ricciardo went off the track and did that huge splash, slip and slide at the Canada turn. And it was like he was saying hello to me, and it was very sweet.
Lovely.
And it was wild. And then I proceeded to watch every other driver go off the track right there. I met some guy from my hometown in the stands during qualifying.
What?
Yeah, he sat down in front of me with a shirt from a lake near where I live in Georgia. And I said, are you from Georgia? And he says, yeah, I'm from
town.
I'm like, shut the fuck up. We're in Canada. The other thing that I mean, the race itself was crazy. At one point, this was when Daniel was down in 12th. I was like, this is such a great race. I do want to kill myself. And then like 2 people crashed out. I literally stood up amongst like this sea of people in my fuck ass V-carb merch. I was like, this is great for me personally. And then he finished 8th. I remember being in the stands, like losing my voice and mind the minute he went number 1 in qualifying.
That was a day.
I walked into the place I was staying after, the hostel I was staying after, and the guys that were there, I think they were from Seattle, and we had like chit-chatted that morning at breakfast, and they go, oh, Ricciardo girl, he did great today. And I was like, that's me,
that's my
Ricciardo
man.
Girl.
That's my man.
Anyways, and then he hate crimed me in New York months later. For legal purposes, that is a joke. And we will not be talking about it. So Montreal always gives us a crazy, crazy race. Last year we got George on pole, Max winning, Max and Lando duking it out, like 6 different crashes. It was a wet to dry, kind of.
Hail.
I mean, it was a crazy weekend. It is always a crazy weekend, and I can't wait to get into our predictions. And I would like to go first.
Please do.
Okay, so in P3, I have George Russell. In P2, I have Max Verstappen. Fail King, I have Fernando Alonso. And in P1, I have Kimi Antonelli.
Wow. Can I ask why to all of that?
I'm so glad you asked, Zoe. Thank you for asking why. This is a track where the greats win their first race.
Oh, interesting. So you're betting on Kimi.
This is where Lewis Hamilton won his first race. This is where Daniel Ricciardo won his first race. I'm sure some other people. I thought it was going to be Oscar last year. If you asked me who was going to win, I dead ass was like, Oscar's going to win. It just came a few weeks later in Hungary. But yeah, I think it's going to be Kimi. This is where people win their first race. It is a place to win first races.
I would be down to see that. I would. Interesting. We'll put a pin in that, I guess.
I guess we'll see.
I'm going to go with a George P1.
Interesting.
I think a Oscar Piastri P2, a Max Verstappen P3, and an Ollie Behrman Fail King.
It's more likely than not to happen.
Something in the universe is telling me, Ollie.
Hopefully we reverse curse him.
Yeah, maybe that's what they're telling me.
Some other notable things happening at the race this weekend. F1 Academy is going to be at the race. This was a piece of feedback I left on the feedback form when I got the F1 survey. I said, I think this would be a great race to bring F1 Academy to.
And they listened.
So thank you, F1. I think that's going to be really fun, and I'm really excited to see that.
When I was at Zandvoort, when F1 Academy wasn't on track, they opened the F1A paddock to just people walking around. And it was very cool. And I've talked about it before, but I think it's just such like a lovely way to invite the racing public into a free space to actually see the cars, feel like you're on the ground with these racers and their teams and their cars in a sport where everything is so heavily monetized.
Yeah.
And I feel like we only have to thank Susie Wolf for that.
So true. And then the other notable thing about the race this weekend is that Lance Stroll will be racing at his home race after having wrist surgery by the notorious
chop shop of Dr. Xavier Mir.
MIR.
Do I think he should be racing? Absolutely not. Am I also pleased that he is really giving the middle finger to
these fuck ass, he doesn't want to be here,
Aston Martin reserve driver, Felipe Drugovich, who has multiple times had some weird shit to say about Lance.
He's weird. It's like everybody's like, give Drugovich a chance. No.
Why?
Who cares? Lance doesn't deserve to be Nobody deserves to be there. The only person that deserves to be there, I've said it before, I will say it again, the only person that deserves to be there is Daniel Ricciardo. Nobody deserves anything in sports. He is there because he is there. And he's not the worst that's there.
Right. Anyways, he shouldn't be racing, but I'm really glad that Drugovich isn't racing because I think that's funny. Le Mans, it's happening. 24 hours of it.
Ouais?
I'm not going to embarrass myself speaking French. It's not going to happen. I can't do the glottal stops. It's happening. I think all the cars look really good. They look like candy. It's really crazy how many former F1 drivers are in WEC. Like I think it's so fun. Well, especially for Le Mans.
In our very first unaired episode, I said, can you imagine Kevin Magnussen driving at Le Mans? And you said, I want to. And we're going to finally get to see it.
We're going to see it. You know who else is racing at Le Mans?
Valentino Rossi.
He's driving the number 46 BMW M4 GT3 Evo for Team WRT.
Team WLF.
Last year, one of his teammates crashed out. Well, they were having a pretty good showing at Le Mans, so hoping this year is better. Hoping we finish at least.
Can you acknowledge my Team WLF joke?
Oh, I totally didn't even notice it. That's actually really fucking funny.
Thank you.
Viva la Pussy.
Yeah, it's going to be a booked, busy, and blessed weekend. I'm really excited.
I don't know when I'm going to sit down to watch some of Le Mans, but I really want to because every time it happens, I get like the most insane FOMO. Because everybody is so sleep deprived and like goofy with it. And I'm like, I want to be goofy with it. I've never felt so much being a 14-year-old with no friends. Like it is
truly
bonkers.
The popular girls are having a giggly fun sleepover and I'm
watching from a window.
I'm their loser little sister begging them to open the door so I can play Just Dance with them.
Literally.
Valentino Rossi is doing the Rah Rah Rasputin Just Dance dance, and I want to be there and do it too.
God. Just got PTSD. Stop.
Right.
I feel like that's kind of it.
No, you know what else is this weekend?
What?
Zoe's birthday!
You know what's really funny? And we can keep this in if we want. I think it's really funny. The day I was born was a Thursday, so I always think it's really fun when like your birthday happens on the day of the week that you were born.
I was a Monday baby.
And you know who else is important to Thursdays?
Who?
Castiel, the angel of Thursdays.
Jesus fucking Christ, you fucking...
You can't be mean, it's my birthday.
Oh, I want to bully you.
You can't be mean, it's my birthday.
I'm saying so many bullying comments in my head.
That's fine.
But only in my head. Happy birthday!
I appreciate it.
I think that brings us to the grid as ... which for the uninitiated is a moment in our podcast where we categorize a handful of riders and drivers from across the great wide world of motorsport as a person, place, thing, idea, concept. And in honor of the Grand Prix in Montreal, we are going to do types of bagels.
My favorite breakfast food.
Famously, Montreal has Montreal bagels, which are a little bit different than New York bagels.
This page says Montreal bagels are a specific type of bagel with a wider hole than the New York bagel.
What did I say earlier before we started the podcast?
I'm just saying.
Would you like to go first?
I would love to. First, I am saying that Toprak Razgatlioglu is a Bialy bagel. It's not technically a bagel.
Bialys are not bagels.
Here's my point.
Yes.
Here's my point. Though texturally different, the flavor of a Bialy will be roughly similar to a plain bagel and will depend most heavily on the quality of wheat used. That's Toprak.
It's the same person, different font.
Right. Bagel, but not bagel.
Akin. I agree. 100%. I mean, he is a Bialy.
Alex Marquez is a garlic bagel.
Interesting.
So according to tastingtable.com,
Shout
garlic
out.
bagels are a science that everyone seems to have a different idea of how to perfect. Adding garlic too prematurely can stunt yeast growth, so it's best to add the garlic after the bagel dough comes together, per the Practical Kitchen. All of that to say, I think Alex is one of those people where he is so misunderstood and I think unseen that you need to put him in a very loving and like appropriately configured situation for him to succeed and like really thrive. Therefore, he is a garlic bagel.
Okay, sure.
Yeah.
Great.
I also think Alex is really interesting, and this is like my evening thoughts about him. I really think that if Marc was not who he is and wasn't in MotoGP, Alex would be more loved and also way more hated by everyone on the grid.
Okay, my turn.
Go for it.
I am going to do Lewis Hamilton. Lewis Hamilton is an everything bagel.
Yeah.
He is everything.
He's him. He's him.
He's him. He is an everything bagel with a vegan cream cheese, which is an affront to humanity, but whatever. And then Lance Stroll. Lance Stroll is a Montreal bagel with pastrami. It's a sandwich you can get in many a deli in Montreal, and they are fucking delicious.
I buy it.
It's so good. I had one when I was there.
Now I just want a bagel.
Shout out to Montreal Bagels. Shout out to Saint Viator. Shout out to Lester's. Lester's not a bagel place.
Shout out to bagels in general.
Shout out to Fairmont. Shout out to bagels
Amazing.
in general. We love dough. We love wheat. What's your go-to bagel?
In Chicago, I will do a steamed everything Bialy with bacon, egg, and I like Swiss on it. I like a kind of milder cheese. And then I let it sit in the wrap for a little bit so it all like, melts together. So good.
I do a sesame egg bagel, toasted lightly with plain cream cheese.
The purist.
I've also been into, on the side, a cinnamon raisin bagel with cranberry cream cheese.
Oh, that's something.
When I'm feeling like I hate my ancestors.
When I hate my ancestors, I just eat a lot of Alfredo.
Deny your heritage. Okay. That brings us to the end of the podcast. Next week, we will make our predictions for Mugello. We will discuss the, I'm sure, insane events of Montreal and
Le Mans.
Talk Le Mans. Yeah. Come hang out with us on Instagram and TikTok and Threads and YouTube. Things are really starting to pop off and we're having a lot of fun. Make sure to like, subscribe, follow, share, comment, rate, review, any and all mechanisms that I can ever remember to help us grow the podcast. Let's keep chatting soon. Okay, bye.
Okay, bye.